Hi, welcome everybody to today's question and answer period. This will be for the film It's Just Parkinson's, and from that film we have the director, Diane Akam, and as she's the producer as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and we have John Cullen, who was the star of the film, as well as Julian Adderley, who did post-production supervisor and editing. So welcome to all of you. And then from Into the Mountains, we have Christophe Anagnostopoulos. I hope I said that right. Welcome to everybody. First, I want to say how much I enjoyed both films. It's Just Parkinson's. John, I was yelling at my screen at one point, going, "No, just do it, pick it up."
Fabulous.
It was an emotional journey for me. Both of these films were an emotional journey for me, but in a different way. So I'm going to start with It's Just Parkinson. So I understand that Julian and Diane are associated from Sheridan College. You did the media arts program several years apart, but you knew each other prior to doing this film, correct?
I didn't actually know Julian at all. I was looking for an editor and I posted something online and he was one of the respondents and he knew my husband and that's why he recognized my name. So thankfully, that was a good in for us and it all worked out incredibly well.
Mm-hmm. You did a great job. Now, I understand that there were some challenges with the filming of It's Just Parkinson's, because it was taking place during COVID and there was travel restrictions. And I guess the two questions I have is, one, how did you and John meet and decide that this was a movie and a story that you needed to tell? And then what were the challenges that you had in actually bringing that story to life?
John, why don't you take the first part of that question? I'll talk about the challenges.
I think you're probably going to want to tell that part. I usually just say the universe brought us together.
That's my favorite answer.
It definitely was happenstance. Honestly, we both became friends on Instagram and got to talking, and Diane said she was a film producer, and we just started talking about maybe doing something about my story. She became very adamant that there was a story to tell, and I was unsure that there was a story to tell. So I told her, I said, if you can stitch together a story, go for it.
It took probably a year and a half to convince John that there was actually a story, and Julian helping convince John there's a story. And I think maybe you believed it the first time you saw the rough cut.
Right, when I saw the rough cut, I believed there was a story. So.
Yeah, thankfully. There was lots of challenges, Cynthia, you're right. We shot during COVID, and so we were in complete lockdown when we started shooting, which was, I think, September 2020, just getting some base interviews down. So I directed on Zoom, and that was back, it was insane. I mean, I really needed to have a local DOP near where John lived in North Carolina, who I could trust and who I could really send lots of information to, have lots of Zoom meetings with, lots of shot lists, and really talk about what the goal was. And we worked really collaboratively. His name was Thomas C. Webb. He was incredible. And luckily, he and John hit it off really well. They're both cyclists, and it really helped. And if you don't have a crew you can really trust, you're just done. So that beginning directing over Zoom was challenging. And then the following February, March, when I needed to go into the States, because we shot everything in Florida and North Carolina, I was not allowed into the country. I showed up at the airport and Customs and Border Patrol was not going to let me in without a visa, which, you know, the one thing I didn't check to see if I actually needed. I've been to the States many times for work and didn't even cross my mind. But so they decided not to let me in. And here we have the next day, starting 10 days of shooting, that I had arranged everything, all local crews. And so luckily, Mary Dardis, my incredible story producer, is also a seasoned kind of director producer. She spent 10 years at W5 and she dropped everything and could fly down in my place. So between filling her in on everything I'd organized, she knew the story, she knew the people. So she just really had to hit the ground running, and we were constantly in communication. I mean, I had set up everything, so it was a matter of just making sure it was going to go. But obviously it's documentary, things change, things happened, she knew how to react on a dime to certain things and pulled it off. And thank goodness I could participate in all of the post-production. So yeah, that was really the main challenge. Was I met my full crew at the premiere in November 2021 in Fort Myers, Florida, which was a little bizarre.
Wow. That's great. I mean, that's an amazing story. I guess I should just clarify that you are local, based here in Milton, and John, the subject of the movie is US based, right? So that's a challenge in and of itself. And a documentary is a different kind of beast than a normal narrative. So wow, congratulations, because it came off really well. And then Chris, your film isn't filmed as a normal film would be either, right? You use a specific type of filming for your short. And tell me a little bit about that.
First of all, it's a little awkward for me to talk about my film because Just Parkinson, it's a magnificent emotional film. So my film is just experimental time-lapse documentary. But then again, it was very important for me because I filmed it alone. I was one-man crew. I was responsible for everything, for the film, production, for everything. So it really meant a lot to me because I love nature, and after what happened to the world with the COVID and all the restrictions that we all faced, we had to live in our houses for many months. It was something very important for me to capture those feelings, my feelings, as I again had the opportunity to go and visit my favorite mountain. So that was what the film was about.
And that's the third film you have that you've done this type of filming for, and it's all been nature based. So what is the takeaway you want the audience to get from seeing those films? I know what I got. It was very meditative and very kind of popping me out of the busyness of my day-to-day life, and I enjoyed that. Was that what you wanted the audience to take away?
Yes, because I feel that most of us we are living in a high-paced routine lives every day in our everyday jobs, no matter in which country we are living. So I think we have somehow been disconnected with nature. So my goal was to, in those very few minutes, to let the viewer reconnect with nature, see again and rediscover again its beauty, and try to find some free time in his weekend, maybe, I don't know, to visit his favorite places. So that was my goal.
Very good. Well, it came across very well. So John, going back to It's Just Parkinson's, what I loved about this film was the duality of it. There was the weight that you're carrying emotionally and mentally kind of mirrored in the weight that you carry very physically throughout the film. Was there once you were convinced that there was a story to be told, what did you want the audience to feel or take away from this? And did you learn something through that whole process that you hadn't expected?
I think what I wanted the audience to take away was you never give up, you never surrender, you keep fighting until the very last day that you can fight. And I wanted that message to come through. I thought that was very important for people to understand that no matter what they're battling, no matter what they're facing, they need to step up and work hard to try to defeat it. And that was my goal, was to have that message come through.
That came through really, really clearly to me.
Yeah.
Very inspirational. So I guess in that vein and related to the second half of my question, did you realize before this how much of an inspiration and how well regarded you were with the people that you were interacting with? I mean, there were words tossed around, inspirational, motivational, brave, grit. Did you realize that you were elevating people just by doing what you were doing?
No, I did not. Not until we got into making the film. I just was doing my thing. You know, I was battling Parkinson's. I was just doing my thing, and you know, it was very humbling actually to have people say that I motivated them, that I inspired them to take on these big challenges that they have in their life. So I was very surprised and humbled by it.
That's amazing. Julian, once the filming had completed and footage was given to you, you worked closely with Diane to edit it and put it together. Was it easy to tell the story once you had all the footage?
Well, initially, Diane was looking for an editor, and due to COVID, a lot of us from our day jobs, I post supervise in my day-to-day work, we were all working from home, and we had a severely reduced workload. And I was really just interested in looking for small freelance projects to sort of bide the time. And Diane was looking for an editor, and we met similar like on Zoom, and we got to talking, and it became clear that she didn't really want anyone to edit her film, and I didn't really want to edit somebody's film. It was originally supposed to be a much shorter project, but John being John, and when he sets his sights on something, and when it became clear, and this all happened before I even came on board, and he wanted to do these competitions, and Diane wanted to capture all of this and make this a part of the story, the project just grew and grew and grew. So a lot of it was Diane, as we got into it, trying to coax me to come on board editing. And I honestly just kept refusing until really she was like, look, this thing's getting much larger than I thought it would. Why don't you just help me assemble the film? And I did that. And I started watching the raw footage. And I started seeing the raw interviews, no editing, no B-roll, no music, no manipulation of sound, just John telling his story. And I was hooked. So when you said earlier, when John needed to be convinced that there was a story, when I watched John's raw, unedited interviews and just listening to him tell his story, I knew there was a story, and I knew I had to get on board this thing, and I had to be the one to edit it along with Diane to be able to tell this story, because it was one, I didn't want it to get away from me, because I thought if I let this slip through my fingers and don't tell this incredibly empowered, emotional story that I saw it was, even without having a film cut, I knew I'd regret it. And like you said, it really is a story of empowerment, and I knew it was going to be that. The thing that did surprise me is I really didn't see it turning into a sort of a quasi sport film, because it's sort of in the third act where John is challenging himself and throwing himself into a competition. And I think that allowed itself, like you pointed out, that the weight of what he's dealing with is becoming quite visually the weight that he is taking on himself to prove something to him, win or lose. And that's what John has to say in the film, that no matter what, win or lose, that he's not going to stop. And I think that's what makes the story so damn inspiring and appealing to people who watch it and walk away and say, hey, I don't know anybody with Parkinson's, but this really tells me that maybe I have things in my life I should face and try to get through, because if John can do it, certainly everybody else can.
I definitely took that away. And I think that one of the strengths of the film, John, was your ability to be so open and just present, sharing your story. It's a very brave thing to do on camera. I mean, it's brave to do in your life, but to put it on camera and then share it with the world, thank you for that. That's amazing.
We really wanted to show that. We did not want to have some superhuman doing everything perfect, Superman. No one would be able to relate to that. No one would be able to take that into their heart. When I'm a human being, I'm flawed like everybody else, and I think they could relate to my failures. When I didn't make those weights, people could relate to that, and then they could see me come back and lift the next weight, and they could relate to that, and they could be motivated by that. So it was very wonderful.
It was very motivational. Chris, let me ask you, so you've done 3 films, all nature-based. Do you have a 4th one that you'd like to do, or do these come to you organically, and you just kind of do them when you're moved to do them?
The truth is somewhere between, but actually at the moment I have already started working on my 4th film, which is going to be my first feature film. So yes, and again, it will be nature-based, because I have found a very serious problem that the world is going to face, not in terms of life and death, but it's something that is very dangerous to the ecosystem. So I'm already working on that, and hopefully ready, I don't know, maybe in a year.
Very good. Well, I wish you all the best of luck with that.
Thank you very much.
And so Diane and Julian and John, what beyond being in the festival circuit, do you have any plans for this film outside of the festival circuit? Has Parkinson's approached you about using it to help inspire, or is there another a phase 2 maybe?
Well, there is a track that I'm following right now, which is I'm trying to get it to all the local Parkinson's organizations any way that I can at this point. So we've shown it in probably a half dozen places in Parkinson's organizations. We have a couple more set up. I'm trying to get it out by word of mouth at this point to get as many people to see it as possible.
That's amazing. I think that that's really valuable, because when there's a spotlight on something, that's when people start to click and think, yes, okay, there's this thing, what can I do?
I just add to that the audience is so much wider than just those with Parkinson's. I mean, that would be primary for sure, that here's a way to give them hope. And this is what is working for John, and maybe it can work for you. Maybe not that level of what he's doing, but as long as you're really pushing yourself hard and overtaxing your CNS. But certainly, you know, like Julian had mentioned, I mean, it's so inspiring for anyone going through adversity and how to overcome that and how to use a mindset that John is now calling IJP. It's just Parkinson's. You just have to get on with it and keep going. So certainly there's a much wider audience, and I would love to, you know, sell it to either online streaming platforms or something where it's just a little more widely available for, I mean, my kids have watched it and they're glued to it, and everyone who we send links to, the feedback is incredible, and they don't have Parkinson's, or, I mean, some people do. John has cultivated this huge community on his Instagram page at It's Just Parkinson's, and he's got t-shirts with the logo, and people are just grabbing onto this mindset because they need it, you know, especially now. They need something to help propel them forward, to give them hope, to help them through their own struggles. And it's really, really catching on. And it's incredible to see, you know, someone just got it tattooed on their arm, the logo.
Wow.
So there's definitely a wider audience, and it really is touching a lot of people. So we're just thrilled to be here at the festival.
A lot of that is John and his IJP mindset that permeates beyond It's Just Parkinson's. I mean, John, he says it quite frankly in the film, doesn't mean to be flippant about calling It's Just Parkinson's, but to a degree it is. He does have this disease, but it's not going to stop him. And I think that's honestly what's inspiring anybody that maybe can't relate to the disease itself, but just to the, because of John's example, they feel inspired to try harder and to just keep moving forward.
I agree. It did that message was loud and clear. And, you know, I think that after COVID and just with people's lives, I think that it's inspiring again to see someone who you can say, wow, if he can pull that strength from his toes and keep moving forward and, you know, tackle this with such a positive, optimistic mindset, what's my excuse? Right. So it was very motivational for me personally as well. I have to say that I was touched by both, as I said at the beginning. Chris, I found your film to be very meditative and you know, reminding me that I need to take the time to sit down and be quiet in my life. And then your film, It's Just Parkinson, was, you don't really have any excuses in life. You get what you put into it. So, you know, put the most you can. So thank you for sharing all of that with me. I do want to say that these films will be screening all week until the end of the festival, and that you can get tickets at offa.ca. And it is a North American screening, so it will be showing both in the United States and Canada. So I hope everybody watches this. They are highly impactful films, and you will walk away feeling much better about yourself. I'll invite you, if there's any last comments that you'd like to make about your film or in general, you can make those now.
John, plug for the website.
Sure. The website is www.itsjustparkinsons.com.
Very good. Is there swag available on the
There is swag
website?
available, yes. T-shirts, hats. At this
I'm
point,
getting
that's what we
myself
have.
one.
But I absolutely encourage people to follow John on Instagram at It's Just Parkinson's their handle, because it's just amazing. And John is really great at highlighting other people who are using the mindset. So you really get to know the whole community, and it's really a great page and well curated. Just wanted to ask, is the website offa.ca?
Yeah, so Omega Frank Alpha.ca.
Perfect.
is where you can get the tickets. And I have followed you, John, so I'm now a follower of you on Instagram. I did that this morning. I'm now following everybody and stalking you all.
Great.
Can I ask Chris a question?
Yes, definitely.
Director. Chris, your film is so beautiful, and I just was so struck by the locations, and because it's time lapse and you have to keep that camera rolling for such a long time. Were you camped out, and for how long are you staying there manning the camera, or did you just leave it up there and hike down and go? How did you do that?
Okay, no, I was there with the camera because it was a very far remote location, so I had to be there in case the battery dies in the middle of the shooting or something else happens. I don't know. So yeah, it was very tiring for the body, but it was very meditating for the soul. So yeah, and the filming took place here in Greece, in the mountains of Greece, because another smaller goal that I had was that Greece is very famous for its islands and its beaches and the summer season. But then again, there's another side of Greece, the mountains of Greece, which are not so familiar to the people. So I wanted to showcase them as best as possible. So the filming took place last autumn, and it was around 3 months of shooting, just for those 5 minutes.
Wow.
Thank you.
3 months, that's dedication. So you stayed up in the mountains for 3 months?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
How'd your wife feel about that?
She's my hero because she stayed back home with her 2 daughters. So I guess I'm owing her, I don't know, almost all the film. Without her, it was going to be impossible to make the production. So
that's good. It's nice that you're a team, and I read that she's the one who sort of introduced you to nature.
Yes. Because I grew up in the city of Athens, which is a big city, so I didn't have the chance to visit the mountains. So I don't know. And then she introduced me to the mountains, and I started seeing a different world. I discovered a different world. So since from then, I don't know. I'm in love with the mountains. I'm just in love with the mountains.
That's great. Well, it came through loud and clear in the film. Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. And I look forward to seeing the film again on the big screen. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Bye.